What's up, guys? Welcome back to Underdogz. I am so excited to have my guest today, a man that very little introduction, Mr. Bryan himself.
How's it going, guys? Bryan Caracciolo here. Yeah, we're excited to tell you a little bit of a story about us. And
That's good. Well, welcome. So, with Underdogz, we love to get into the journey. So many times in our life, we have these stories, we have these things that built us and made us who we are today, but we forget where it started. So let's go all the way back. Okay. Bryan, I want to know, like, all the way back. Where were you born?
born, raised right here in Ocala. So, to be back here in Ocala is great. I've been back here for a while now, um, but was born right here at what was MRM,
MRMC.
yeah,
Yeah.
MRMC.
I do the same thing. So I was born here as well. And when someone asks that question, I usually go, yeah, third floor Monroe.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, cool.
yeah.
Third floor Monroe.
Oh,
Ocala
geez.
boys. There you go. So where did you go to school? And let's start back with elementary because I want to know what that was like for you.
Elementary school was Maplewood Elementary. I lived in the shores right off baseline. Um, it was so I was never really a excelling student. Honestly, I was probably more of a C student. Elementary was even probably harder for me.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I don't know why. It just was one of those things where it took me a while uh, to learn how to learn and adjust, I guess.
That's a really good way of putting it too. If you think about it, those type of years, it's the first time you've learned this stuff. Like when we get to middle school and high school and college and whatnot, they try to teach us how to take what we've learned in math or what we've learned in reading and English and all that and take it to another level. But if elementary is pretty rough, like what do you think was the hardest grade?
All of it. Yeah, no, I mean, literally, looking back at those days, probably third through fifth was extreme. And I mean, that's obviously just when you're starting to apply new methodology of how to do math and reading and whatnot. And I mean, to this day, honestly, I'm not a good reader. I mean, I can read, but do I love reading? No. Uh, Later on, I learned um, how to become an A student, and that's kind of where my journey led me to this day. Is being it's learning differently with being a visionary, and that's what I would consider myself. So yeah, it's just learning honestly until later in high school. It was a struggle all the way
Yeah.
through.
I definitely I feel you on the reading side. I love movies. I love I love listening to books. I'm probably not going to read the whole book. I've always had to like read things like two or three times to let it sink in, and even then, I'm kind of tired of reading now. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, I mean, this is almost embarrassing to say. I probably read a total of 10 books my entire life.
That's awesome. We're not saying maybe don't read, but 10
Well,
or less, and you can still be successful. So that's pretty cool.
and listen to this though. This is on the other side of that. I've listened to probably 500 books.
There you go.
So, there's a different way of taking it. Now, if I'm reading out loud, I can only, I don't even take it in.
Yeah.
It's weird. But when I'm reading, if I am reading a book, I can actually read it in incredible time to myself. It's almost like a different kind of reading, like scan reading. And I'll go into that later, but that's how, like, later in high school and college, I learned to actually become an A student um, and excel. but it wasn't your traditional reading, like someone that actually sits down and reads. I
Yeah.
don't know, that's not me. I can't learn that way. I can't take it in. I can't comprehend it. Um, but yeah, it's just something that worked for me, and it's I don't know, it's stuck.
I think we all have to find our own technique, find out what we enjoy, find out what we love. That's what I love about those years. Um,
Absolutely.
so depending on how you grew up, the friends that were around you, and kind of your influences during those years. So tell me a little bit about that. Who was influential in your life in the younger years?
Honestly, I'd have to say my parents, super hard workers, blue collar family. We lived in the shores. And nothing against the shores to this
No.
day, obviously, but it's just we were very blue collar. There was nothing special. My parents worked like crazy. My mom's worked for the school board for 35 years now, and my dad has done everything from construction to mowing lawns. When I was in elementary school, I would mow lawns on the weekends, just do whatever it took
Yeah.
to get a couple bucks and help him out. And yeah, so I just grew up around a hardworking family, all the way around, grandparents to parents, aunts, uncles, everybody. So influential, I would say that on the hard work side. And then I always played sports and whatnot. So, looking up to other, you know, just figures, sports figures and whatnot, it's always been a big thing for me as well.
And then playing sports, what sport or combination of sports did you really get into?
Mainly football. I did play some other sports here and there, but football, weightlifting. We played soccer in the off season just to keep me always in shape. But football was my thing. I played basically before you were allowed to play at MCYFL, which to this day I actually am still part of the organization, and I'm a head coach at MCYFL now. So it's fun to see things come full circle. But back in the day, there was no Pee Wee League or anything like
Yeah.
that. It was only juniors. So my uncle was or a family member was a coach, and basically uh, slid me in underage. So I was 9 years old in fourth grade, going up against up to seventh and eighth graders in football. So it
Yeah.
just you learn real quick.
Now, I was going to tell you, don't let the camera fool you. Brian, how tall are you?
6'5".
6'5". There you go. I was wondering why I was looking up to you the whole time we were talking before we started the show, but that would definitely do it. Now, at 9 years old, how tall were you then?
So I've always been tall, but I was extremely skinny
Okay.
and just lengthy. Um, I was like a twig.
Yeah,
So I've kind
but a
of
twig tall enough to pass in the as a 9 year old to play with the big boys.
yeah, I was maybe. Either way,
Well,
they
he
allowed it.
he was on the field.
Yep.
Okay, he was on the field, so that's awesome. I love sports. I wish I would have done more organized growing up. Um, my dad worked 16 hours a day, going to sports things, not having other people, able to take us to those sports kind of limited us on that side. But at 13, uh, well, let's back it up. At 2, I learned to skate. When I was like 8 through 13, I wanted to go to the skating rink as much as possible. And I got into speed skating at 13, competed till I was 32. So it's interesting to find an organized sport that can really help mold you and teach you things that a book can't teach you, things that even a parent sometimes can't teach you.
Absolutely.
So, did your family come from a sports background as well, or was that just a piece of your life that you can remember?
Um, yeah, I mean, not I mean, nothing at a high level per se. My father, he played football. Grandfather played football. Um, so they all had some background in football, and I guess that's just one of those things. I got put in there, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to do this." And at that age, I don't think you have much of uh, a decision if you're going to play or not. They kind
Yeah,
of put you in there,
yeah,
and you're either going to excel or hate it and quit. Um, you know, and I excelled, which honestly, I was the youngest one out there.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't excel right away. It took, a lot of hard work and dedication and determination and to get to a higher level, and kind of did that all the way through the years. I mean, I remember it was like I had to go prove myself to the senior team, and then,
Yes.
you go to high school and you have to prove yourself again, and so on and so forth all the way through. So,
And then, so when did you graduate?
2006.
2006. Man. All right. I graduated in 2000. So you got me on that one. I was going to say,
So,
back in the day, you didn't get a choice to play. It's like your parents said, hey, we're trying football. And that's what you did until you either got hurt. I do remember in 10th grade, I got told that I played at Vanguard, and I was told that we were going to camp down in Orlando. And the first night, I broke my collarbone. So I got to go home early. I am not 6'5", and I got hit by a guy that was just a Mack truck. It was supposed to be flag football, okay, and he did not adhere to the flags. He pretty much mowed me over.
it
But
happens.
it's life. So after high school, let's talk about what happens. Did you have a job during high school, and do you remember your first job?
So in high school, I did have a job. I actually worked at Wayne's World Paintball.
Okay, we got a lot more to talk about. I'm gonna, I'm not going to stop there, but I am going to tell you I just bought a new marker.
Okay.
So we've
I
got a.
still have an Angel. I mean,
Oh
this
my
thing
gosh.
is
Okay.
like, it might be pushing antique at this point
Yeah. No,
because
that's great though.
we're talking 20 years ago.
I
Probably
had.
21, 22 years ago, really.
Oh.
But yeah, I
Okay.
still have one of the old, probably not original, but
For the non-paintball people, I don't think you understand how important an angel is. That was the the
yeah.
the top of the top. That was the apex of paintball. I had an all black autococker,
Oh yeah.
and then I mean we all start with we start with the spider because you gotta that's the Walmart $25 gun.
Yep.
You got to start somewhere,
Yep.
but then you realize very quickly the gun does help your performance. You got
Absolutely.
to have the right equipment to do the right job.
Yep.
It's such a subtle lesson. But let's go back to Wayne's World. There will be a part two to this episode. We'll probably do that on location
There we
because,
go.
I mean, I love Wayne and his family. Amazing. The
Absolutely.
creator of the 24-hour scenario. I actually donated an airplane that's sitting in the middle of the North Base.
Really.
Um, I found this plane, like a glider style plane, for like $250, and I was like, "We need this in the middle of the woods to shoot around it." So,
Yeah.
uh,
No.
so tell us about that first job. What was that like?
Okay. So I don't even know what time or what age they allow you to start working there. About 14, 15. I was a referee. I got shot a lot.
Yeah.
As a referee, you probably get nailed at least 10 times a day, depending on what kids are out there. And if you know them, you're going to get shot even more. So that was always a good experience. But, the one thing I can really take away from that, which I also ended up, it allowed me to go into we played it for a scenario team. And I played for the double threat scenario paintball team.
Of course, he played for Double Threat. Okay, let's back up a second because I every year that I played paintball, I built a paintball tank.
Yeah, yeah, I had
So
I had one too.
okay, so I want to know, did you play at a time where there was a large zero-turn mower with a large metal frame around it with a turret?
Probably.
Okay. So I built this tank based off of the Warhammer 40 or 40,000, 50,000, whatever they're up to. But I took this image and I've never welded in my life. And I welded the entire steel structure. Then we coated it with a business in town that did that styrofoam, and they could cut through styrofoam and make the
Oh yeah.
shapes. I took a washing machine apart and flipped over the drum, added four fully automatic A5s and four rocket launchers to the tank. I played in one grand finale scenario and then sold it to Double Threat to Mark.
Oh yeah. Well, that makes sense. Mark
Of
Carmine.
course, he played for
Yep.
Double Threat, the baddest team at Wayne's World, dominates every year. I mean, you guys and Mark, that is a unit, and I could see where you would get a lot of discipline being in such a structured team.
Well, so it was funny because there was only two of us younger guys, and one is he's also very high up in the Ocala Police Department now, and I don't know exact what officially he is, but he's climbed his way up there pretty high.
That's awesome.
Um, but it was us basically two kids, young teenagers, and I would say 15 adults.
Yeah.
So, and most of those adults had military background.
Yes, they do.
I mean, it was intense. So it was really fun. But to go to your point, yeah, I mean, you definitely learn discipline. You learn strategy. A lot of other things that you can still apply to this day. And we thought we were just playing paintball, having
Yeah.
fun, but those things stick.
Yeah.
There's certain things you take away from everything, every experience. So yeah, we were able to take away a lot from that, I'm sure.
That's so good. You find out who you can count on.
Absolutely.
You've got a teammate in front of you and behind you that you're not even speaking, and you're understanding what the plan is. You know what the objective is. You know who you've got to take out, what mission you have to accomplish. But I absolutely love that that was your first job. My
Yep.
first job was Target.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked for 2 seasons. I zoned toys, which means at the end of the night, you put everything back where it goes. And after the second season, it only lasts 3 months at a time. We decided I was no longer a good fit for that job because I had my own ideas on how we should do it, and they are very corporately structured. They kind of
Absolutely.
like it their way or the highway, and I
Absolutely.
was on a different road.
Well, you
So
were at least getting paid though, right?
I think so.
At Wayne's
I think
World, they
so.
tried to pay me. However, I would take paintballs instead.
Very smart.
Yes, so
Very
I would
smart.
get boxes of paintballs, and I'd come home. My parents are like, "Where's all the money?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I got a case of paintballs instead."
Yeah.
So
I'd be
I'd go
like,
and
Jackie talked me into this box of paintballs. I don't know. It's 2,000 dots.
yeah, so I
Like
would just
it's
come out, or it was still getting paid, but I was getting paid with paintballs
yeah.
because they're not cheap.
To people, if you don't paintball, you don't understand how good of a trade that was.
Yeah, that was
That was
genius.
better than money. Okay. Those paintballs got expensive.
Absolutely.
So very, very cool. We're going to talk a lot more offline about paintball, I promise. We may even have a Bring Your Angel Day because I would
Well,
love
there
to
you
see
go.
that marker. So the reason I talk about first jobs is we have to start somewhere. Now, I know you as Brian the entrepreneur. I don't know Brian the employee. And I feel like we suffer from the same thing. We are horrible employees. Like we have too many ideas. We have too much drive, too much passion. It's very hard to employ us. But
Well,
so I want to talk about what drove you from having a standard job and maybe what led to other jobs before and what was really that breakout moment that took you to a whole different level.
okay, so this is a good story. I You can count Wayne's World as a job if you want. That was more of a hobby, and I was getting paintballs out of in return.
Yeah.
College, moved to college, 17 years old. Um, I I'm on the young side of my graduating year, so get out. I want to go enroll to summer. So I'm living in Orlando for UCF at the age of 17. I moved by myself um, for a month and a half, 2 months. I'm 17 before I turn 18. I get a job at Smoky Bones Barbecue in Waterford Lakes. I think I did 2 shifts, and it was just it was absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
Um, I was washing dishes. I remember leaving completely soggy after washing dishes for 8 hours, hands cracking, feet cracking. I'm like, why are my shoes, like, it's not normal for your shoes to be wet as a dishwasher, I don't think.
Yeah, I
Eh,
think the water is supposed to stay
well,
in the
but
thing.
I cared so much that I was washing the stuff more than anybody ever washed. And even at that point, someone was like, "Hey, you don't have to do that good of a job." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like you're working, you got to do a good job." But then it was almost 2 or 3 shifts in, I realized like this sucks, and I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That was, other than one little extent that we'll go into later, that was basically the last time I worked for anybody. And the other stint doesn't even count. Working for someone, I'll go into that. But so yeah, I basically worked for somebody for 3 days, and I decided that's not for me. I'm going to do my thing.
So Smoky Bones Barbecue
Yeah, that was
back
enough.
in the day, 2 shifts of dishwashing. Very humble, by the way. Okay, because dishwashing, I have a ton of respect for people in every position of a restaurant, of a job. I don't care what it is. You have to humble yourself and say, you know what? If I have to wash the dishes, I'll wash the dishes. If
Yeah,
I have to dig a ditch, I'm going to dig the ditch. But you can bet your ass I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
yeah,
And I think that's what I'm hearing is you were overachieving even in the dishwashing department. But it freaks me out to think that they would say, "Hey, you don't have to do that good of a job." And I'm like, we have to eat off these plates.
yeah. No,
Like,
absolutely. It was.
so I
They're like,
appreciate your service.
well, they're like, you just got to get it rinsed off because it's going to go through the machine. But I was washing it completely
Yeah,
before I put it through the machine,
it sounds like it'd be
and,
super
and
clean.
it's double wash. So you think it's going to
Yeah.
be double the cleanliness, but
So,
that's not always the way it
well, I
goes.
appreciate it regardless.
But so the funny thing is, to this day, if I have to go wash dishes, I'll go wash dishes,
Yeah.
but it's at a different level of washing dishes. So I'm going to be the owner washing the dishes if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. I just wasn't going to be doing it at that level and then be told, you're doing too good of a job for washing dishes. Like that was just mind boggling to me. Um, at that time, that's when I realized I'm meant for more or bigger, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And then I literally just quit.
Yeah.
And I'm 18 years old and living in Orlando. My parents were like, "So what the hell are you gonna do?"
Yeah. What do you mean you
And,
quit?
and I'm
There's
like,
bills.
"Yeah, I got school and everything else. I'll figure it out." Um, so this brings to the next thing. A month or two later, I am in. I don't even know what I saw, but I saw like a sign in downtown Orlando, learn to bartend or something.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
All
like,
right.
"Hey, I'm gonna go to this bartending school. I need $500. I have no money,
Yeah, you just quit
and
your
I just
dishwashing
quit.
job.
I just quit."
Like,
And so parents lend me $500 to join this bartending school, and the bartending school is a week long, 5 days, and it is a crash course on how to bartend. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's the easy drinks. You're not learning how to flair or be good at anything by any means. You're learning your basic, 50 drinks and how to treat a customer and whatnot. To be honest, it's not even needed. It's just a fast track to bartend rather than working your way through um, being a server or being a hostess, and then being a server. The hospitality game, everybody wants to be the bartender. They're the
of
ones
course.
making the biggest tips and everything, usually. So, I saw that. I'm in college, obviously, I want to be the bartender. So, freshman year in college, I go to the bartending school. I do the week bartending school. And part of the deal is at the end of it, they'll help you try to get private bartending gigs.
Okay.
So, the Friday we graduate, they're like, "Hey, there's a private party tonight. Who wants to go and do the private party?" So, and there's about 10 kids in the class. I say kids, but there's 10 students in the
Yes.
class. One other guy and myself volunteered for the party. They give us the address. They're like, "Hey, you get $20 an hour. It's going to be 4 hours, go bartend or whatever." This is going back to like 2007.
Okay.
So we're looking, 19 years
Right
ago.
before the crash.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I show up. And first off, I'm pulling into a neighborhood. I'm like, where am I? Like, this is not normal. This is some 20-foot gates,
Oh
big,
shoot.
it's a Windermere address. I'm like, I don't even know what this all means or whatnot. Um, we we pull in. And I mean, no joke. We pull up to a house that's no smaller than 20,000 square feet.
Oh Lord,
And I'm like, oh, this
that's
seems
a
like
lot of
this
house.
might be a good party. But now I am really nervous because I don't know what I'm doing.
You
I
better
know
hope
how
you
to
remember.
make out of 50 drinks. I know how to make maybe 20.
He's like, I know, I make a mean old fashioned.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, and
yeah,
then like if it's straight up, like we're good or whatever. But anything else, I'm like,
yeah.
this could be bad.
So you're not like a true mixologist
Oh
yet.
no, I haven't. I've never done it for.
Yeah.
I've been pouring fake alcohol.
Oh Lord.
Like at bartending school, you're not using the real stuff. You're counting, and
How
it's labeled
how do you
whiskey.
how do you know if you mixed it right though?
Well, you
How do you know
don't.
the taste?
You
You're like
don't.
you don't know if it's a heavy pour or not.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
Well, from obviously high
Yeah.
school experience,
Well,
and but hey, at that point we're
allegedly.
drinking like
Allegedly.
SoCo or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
we're just drinking whatever we can get our hands
Yeah.
on. And anyways, we go to we go to this event, and I'll never forget it. The door opens, and one of the very first people I see is John Morgan,
Oh Lord.
Morgan and
Like
Morgan,
Morgan and Morgan guy.
largest law firm in the
Yeah.
United States. And it was his sons, or it was somebody's bar
Like they had passed the bar.
they
Okay.
party, or
Gotcha.
and it might not be a direct family, but it was someone along those lines, and it was a party for them. And I ended up making $550 in tips plus $20 an hour. I made all $500 for the bartending school to go in the very first day.
Yeah.
So my brain has always been wired. How can I make more money? Like, what am I going to do? How can I capitalize on this?
Yes.
And the next day, I started my own bartending company for private parties. So wife is like, "What are you doing? Like, this is crazy. You can't just go and start this." My wife now was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
girlfriend then,
Okay.
all the way we go back to high school.
That's awesome.
Um, so she's just like, whatever you can do, whatever. And I started marketing. Craigslist was a thing at the time.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep. So Craigslist was the only way of really marketing. Facebook was maybe at its like very, so it was only, you had to have an EDU email,
Oh,
a
gotcha.
college email, to actually even be able to get Facebook at the time.
This is
So
early,
MySpace,
early Facebook.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there was no marketing on Facebook. MySpace was at the end of its, like, in the last couple of years of its term, or whatever you want to call it.
If anybody's watching, by the way, MySpace was pre-Facebook. A lot of people forget that part. It wasn't an afterthought. It was kind of the OG of it. And at the same time, they did not have an advertising platform.
no. Oh,
MySpace was like your top 8, and that's it. And then
yeah.
you could change your wall to be like glittery or sparkly or some stuff.
Yes.
That was the
So
extent.
there's very little marketing available through social. So social really wasn't for that. Social was
Yeah.
for talking to friends, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So Craigslist was my cheap way because it was free,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any money to go into, put into real advertising per se. So we would go on Craigslist, and I would do like 30 to 50 ads a day through different groups and different cities and different whatever.
Smart.
And it spread to the point where I had a bunch of college friends then working for us doing, and I'm accelerating this over a year,
Of course.
but bunch of friends working for us, doing private parties, events, weddings. We did the owner of Tupperware in Orlando. I mean, we did stuff at the Florida Mall for releases of a new makeup line, and it was just totally random. There was nothing planned.
Yeah.
I was just figuring out as I went, everything. I mean, it was crazy. Like, they'd be like, "Hey, we want glass rentals." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get you glass rentals."
Yeah.
What did I do? I called another rental company and got the glass rentals,
And a little
marked
bit
it
of
up,
upcharge.
and then I rented it back out again. So I mean, I was literally just doing whatever it took to get to the next level. And so yeah, that's kind of how that went into one thing. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna keep going because
No, please, because
it,
I
it, it
think
transforms into like a beast of a company that ultimately grew into something worth several $1 million that was sold, and so it's a good story. But so we went from absolute bartenders. That's what we were called.
Absolute bartenders.
Within 1 year, I met a roommate, or actually a neighbor, in college, very good friend to this day, Dan Rojas. And he's like, "Hey man, I'm a nightclub promoter." I'm like, "What the hell is a nightclub promoter?" And he's like, "We get paid to promote nightclubs." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds cool." So we went to a meeting for another company or whatever, and I was going to do that. And then I was like, "Why am I going to go work for another company when I can do this myself?" Now, to back up a little bit into sports, obviously played football all the way through elementary, middle school, high school, soft freshman year. There's 100 kids on the team. You got to go out and prove
Yeah.
yourself. You got to stand alone. It took me several weeks just to get through that part to show something different, right?
Yeah.
We I finally get a starting spot. By the end of that year, I get moved up. We go through JV. By the end of my sophomore year, I get moved up to varsity. Um, excel through football. Do really good, whatnot. Decided I wanted to be a walk-on football player at University of Central Florida for UCF,
Okay. Go Knights.
under Georgia Larry, and that gave me a massive connection with a lot of people. So sophomore year, college, now playing football, I start Absolute Entertainment. We are a nightclub promoter. And basically, for anyone that doesn't know, what a nightclub promoter is somebody that gets paid to bring the party.
You bring the party to the
I bring
place.
the party. So
Nice.
I reach out to a club. A club's like, "Heck yeah, you're gonna bring people." So I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." This is so we have I we're bringing buses. We're loading buses, charging $20 to get on the bus. That includes your cover. So I'm getting a bus for $340, or I'm getting the bus for $340 a night to rent. And basically, that charter bus is chartering in the kids, and we would go park it at UCF. I would tell all my football player friends and everything, "Hey, go load up the bus. $20 a person. We're going to get you into the nightclub. We're going to give them free drinks for however long, and we're going to give them a safe ride back. The kids are in
Wow.
party. Might as well make it
Yeah.
a safe trip back and forth, right?"
Yes.
We fill up one bus. We fill up two buses. Before you know it, we're filling up 6 to 8 buses a night.
You are definitely bringing the party.
We're bringing the party. We're
Yeah.
bringing in hundreds of people. Well, the nightclub starts to see this, and they're like, "Hey, you're a promoter. This is awesome, but do you want to bring it to another level?" And I'm like, "What does that even mean?"
Mm.
And they're like, "Well, you can have your own night." And they're like, "You basically own the night. We're going to keep the bar. We'll keep the door, and you keep the door like me." So
Okay.
I'm like, I get to charge whatever, and people pay that to get in. So that then went into a massive spiral of something grew crazy quick with a lot of money, a lot of revenue. I was very young, had no idea what to do with it all.
Yeah.
It was a crazy lifestyle, to be honest. But it basically turned in from us to having one night a week to 4 to 5 nights a week of bringing 4 to 5 plus buses out each night to different places, making tens of thousands of dollars a night at the age of 19, 20 years old, which then led into owning my first nightclub at the age of 21 and barely able to buy alcohol, much less own a liquor license in Orlando, which was 450 grand at the time.
I've been wondering the age frame like this entire time. I'm like, how does he serve alcohol? How does he go to bartending school? We're talking about just got into college.
Yeah.
You were freshman, senior year. It's like, I mean,
I looked older than I
I was
was.
about to say,
No one ever asked. I look older right now.
there are
I'm only
there's so many
36 or
advantages.
37. I don't know how old I am. I feel older, but yeah, no one.
Brian, I don't even know what day it is,
Yeah,
so we're good.
same.
You're in a safe space.
Yeah.
The fact is, all of this momentum, all of this entrepreneurial journey is starting, do you realize then that you were an entrepreneur, or has it not kicked in yet? Were you just in this mindset of we're out making money and that's it? Did it
Yeah.
seem like now you're a businessman?
No, because I never felt like, and this is nothing against a nightclub promoter. There's people out there that are doing this through their whole life and whatnot. I just didn't feel like the party lifestyle was a real way of making money for me. Um, I didn't see a long term play in it, especially if I wanted to have a family and,
Yep.
really bring things to the next level. I always looked at it um, as just a stepping stone to get to the next level. But by the time I was 21, we basically had our first nightclub. By the time I was 23, I owned 4 bars and nightclubs throughout Orlando, between downtown and UCF area. Um, it was good. Life was good, but it was also hectic.
Yeah.
Getting home at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, you got to count $20,000, $30,000 a night. Um, so I mean,
I love that that was the hard part.
but listen, there's a
You know how
lot of
long it
one.
takes to count
It is
that many ones?
one exactly, because how do people
That's a
pay?
lot of tips and a lot of
Especially if
change
you're
and
playing in college town, everyone's, the credit cards wasn't that big of a thing then. They might be now, but at the time, most of the
oh, it
kids,
was cash.
well,
Yeah,
and the kids are trying to hide it from the parents most of the time, so they're not
got to
trying
be
to.
cash.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
most of it's ones, fives. So counting that much money in ones and fives, half the time it's crumbled up. They had it in their pockets or whatever. It's a mess to count.
I'd have to wash my hands like twice, at least
Yeah,
twice, like maybe twice before and twice after.
yeah. No,
Okay.
it was an absolute mess. Fast forward, 25 years old, about 24, somewhere in there, and all of a sudden I'm just like I'm done with it. And I had an opportunity to come back to Ocala and be a football coach. So going, obviously I played several more years of football. I had a catastrophic knee injury. Um, that was pretty much the done with that type of thing. I ended up I still played for like a semi-pro league for a little while and had a great time doing that. But it was just I was never going to go to a whole nother level
Yeah.
after the knee stuff. So come back to Ocala. I coach Forest High School varsity as a position coach for a couple years. Um, they gave me and you get paid a little bit. So
Yeah.
this is going into that second job I've ever actually had. You get paid a little bit of money as a coach, and then I was to get a little bit more money. They put me in the classroom as it was a computer lab monitor.
Okay.
I wasn't teaching anything. I don't have a teaching degree
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
anything, so there was no teaching. I literally sat in a computer lab,
Okay.
and they would have like online classes or whatever they're doing. Well, put me in a quiet space is dangerous because I'm going to get dangerous and start thinking. And if I ever have time to not be working on something, I when I'm thinking is when I start going.
Yeah. That's good.
So I'm sitting in this place, just honestly bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much for football, especially at high school level. So it's like, the rest of the day I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and then football season ends, and then what? Um, it goes into me brainstorming how to start my construction company.
Okay.
So BWC Construction is started in a
The comp
classroom
in the computer lab
of
as a
Foresight.
monitor while coaching high school football.
Yep.
And why construction?
So it was something I knew because it's multi-generational in our family. So my dad was always in some type of construction, mainly service related construction, meaning soffit, aluminum, gutters, screen rooms. That's what he did.
The industry that AI cannot take over, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what he was doing. His father, so my grandfather, he built bridges and everything else. So he did marine construction. He was an underwater welder and diver.
This was
Um,
your grandfather?
yes.
All right, so granddaddy is a badass.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
yeah.
underwater welder.
He was also a, what they call a frogman, which was
I've
before SEALs.
I've heard that term before. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's
So
one of the OGs of the Navy SEALs.
that's awesome.
Um, yeah. So he just passed away several years ago at the age of, I think, 97. I mean, he was complete badass all the way
That's a
through.
full life. It's
Absolutely.
my grandfather. I refer to him as the Duke. It reminds me of John Wayne,
Yeah.
and just a man's man. Like
They don't make them like
he
they
could.
used
They
to, you
do
know?
not. They do not. And
Yeah.
he passed away a little over a year ago. And it's amazing how some of those men in our life from back in the day, they taught you how to be a man,
Oh, absolutely.
and a lot harder, a lot more stone faced. Not a lot of "I love yous" coming out of that type of man, right? But they're gonna lead by example, and they're gonna teach you what's possible. So I love hearing that, and especially with all the accolades and who he was, and then also getting to know that he got to live until 97. It's an honor to live that long, and especially a life well lived at 97, and to have accomplished so much and then been that influential. That is what influential is, by the way. Love that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So that's why I picked construction. I mean, there is no. Now I can go back to early elementary. I got a book on architecture, on being an architect, basically. And I always thought it was cool to sit there and draw house plans. As weird as that is,
Yes.
I was literally in elementary drawing like, hey, if we add on to our house, we can do this or that or whatever. And I don't know if it was just, hey, we lived in a smaller house, and I thought,
Yeah.
hey, if I want a bigger house, I'm
It'd be
going to do
cool if the
this.
ceiling was a little taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
get you.
I don't really know where that came from, but and then in college, my degree was actually civil engineering. I went 3 years of civil engineering, and I realized this is not to be taken for anybody that's a civil engineer or architect, engineer of any kind. I realized I could be a general contractor and be everybody's boss,
Yeah.
and everybody's. Uh, I could make more money than everybody, maybe if I did it correctly,
If you do it right.
if I do
That's
it
good.
right. So I changed my degree last minute to business. Realized I don't need anything to do, because then I was like, oh, I got to go do a FE, I got to go do a PE, and all this other testing afterwards. It's going to take all these years. I can go make money now. So I changed my stuff, my degree. I'm in the classroom here. I start this BWC construction company. Same thing. What do I know? How do I advertise? Craigslist. It was still a thing. This is
Nice.
this is 2013 now.
Yeah. Craigslist still kicking.
Yeah, Craigslist still a thing. Facebook is around now, but people aren't really marketing to the point of where it is now. I mean, you can get lost in
I don't
marketing and
think people
social.
realize
The
how
power.
how new social media advertising is
Absolutely. Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, especially if you were born in the 80s and the 90s, or the late 1900s, as some people say. They don't realize that all these tools that we have today, digitally, not
They're all
even
new.
not even close to being available. 2013, Facebook is what, 5 years old?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, they didn't under there was no plan for advertising, marketing, paid ads, targeting, any of those bits and pieces. So especially us as consumers and business men and women is being able to navigate that. There wasn't companies that just said, "Oh, we know how to do this now. Follow us." So a lot's changed in those years.
Quickly.
So you're marketing construction on Craigslist.
Yep. Yep. So I'm marketing construction on Craigslist. I'm doing anything I can get my hands on. I am not building houses yet. I am not building anything commercial yet. Um, I don't even have enough money to do any. Like, I'm literally a football coach. Like, we sold almost all of our stuff in Orlando. Um, I had a little bit of money, but I had to move here. We
Yeah.
had to buy a house and do all that kind of stuff. I was still young. I wanted to, whatever. So we bought toys or whatever else that we blow stupid money on. And
Brian's saying right now that he has bought some UTVs and some four wheelers,
Oh,
some jet
I've
skis and some boats. Okay,
yeah, I've had
these.
every side by side,
Yep,
every boat,
I
and
can feel that.
yeah, I
Yep.
think I've had 14, 15 boats by now. So yeah, we've had a little bit of toys, a little
Yeah.
bit of fun, and I'm like, Craigslist it is. So what do I get? Heck, I won't even forget my first. They left me a voicemail when I'm in the classroom for a remodel, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to answer this.
And
And
that was like one of the first big
I'm
calls.
like sweating. I'm like, you got to answer the phone. You got to answer the phone there and call somebody else.
That's right.
So afterwards, I answer the phone. It's a mobile home. Again, nothing against a mobile home, but I have to go out and replace windows on a mobile home and build a little screen room.
Gotcha.
I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
The smallest thing that
Why not?
I can't do that possibly today because we
Well,
would have to
time versus
charge.
money, and
Oh,
yeah,
we would have
I
to
get it.
charge so much. It's not fair to the people. So I would just tell them no, I can't do it. But at the time, it was anything I can touch. If you needed windows replaced, a paint job, anything. Um, so we basically skyrocket from there, doing all these little jobs. One thing led into another until about 2015, 2016. We get into our first houses, and
You
they're
just started doing houses in 2015.
yes,
Okay. Well,
and
as you see how this story develops, you're going to wonder how in the world did so much happen in 11 years.
yeah, and I've built over 600 something houses,
And there you go. So
and the
2015, 2016, and we're now building.
yeah. So one thing explodes, we get into investor spec houses. Um, Now, this isn't a time there is no building.
Yeah,
I mean, this is still uh, the depression of
of
the
course.
mid 2000s or whatever you want to call it. This is full on no building. We built two spec houses in Marion Oaks for an investor. Someone called me and they're like, "Hey, we want to build a spec house." I didn't even know what a spec house was. I was like, "I got to figure out what that is. I don't even know what that means." And they're like, "Oh, you just build a house and we'll sell it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll build a house."
Yeah, like
I didn't know how to
sign
build a
me up.
house.
Okay,
I never
gotcha.
built a house.
All right.
I'll figure it out though.
You definitely will. I have no doubt.
So we figure it out as we go. And I built three houses in a row. So it started as two. They added one last second. I was like, we don't even have permitting. First off, I walked into the building department. All impact fees were suspended. I walked out
Oh
of there
my
with a
gosh.
couple $100 with a permit to build a house.
Yeah.
If you go to build a house now, it's about 11 grand in our county.
Awesome.
So it went from,
Uh,
and that just to show you how
yeah,
time
I'm gonna
changes.
need them to suspend those again.
Yeah, well,
I need about a month and just let me get in there.
yeah, in the county's defense, the impact fees do, you know, look, no builder should be saying impact fees are a good thing, but for our infrastructure, impact fees are needed. What people don't understand though is the impact fees actually don't come to local for the most part. Most of them are actually going to state level. Um, there's only certain impact fees that are actually coming to us locally here, and they have to be specified. And there's a lot of planning and stuff
I was
around
gonna
that.
say
So
we're gonna have to have a whole
that's a
show.
whole nother
That's a whole nother topic.
topic that I can probably give a lot of knowledge on because developers and builders and honestly a lot of county officials get a lot of crap because of it,
Yeah, of
but
course.
it's not necessarily their fault.
What's lack of understanding? Like I'm only making the comments that I am out of lack of understanding the true meaning or true purpose or where the money is allocated to. But I also think that if you were to do a shorts or a real series on that, you would help educate some people in the
Absolutely.
community, add a ton of value, because there's so many of us out there that you just don't know what you don't know, and
Yep.
it's easy to have an opinion, especially on the negative side. It's hard to have a positive opinion when you don't know all the rules of the game. So,
Yep.
thanks for even bringing that up. That's
Yeah,
good.
no, I mean, it's just, I see it all the time, and I'm usually quiet. I don't do the whole social media bashing back and forth and
No, no,
comment.
no.
People say something like it is what it is. Like I go on to the next thing. People might think I'm cocky for telling you all this. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm trying to give people inspiration
No, this
of a
is the
story, how to
journey.
grow, and
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Um,
If they don't see the value in the journey, of what you're saying right now, then that's on them. That's seriously a personal issue because you obviously were not born with a silver spoon. Nothing was given to you except for the $500, and you paid that back pretty quick. Night number one, but most people look at your level of success and immediately assume that it was an overnight success, and they don't realize that the friggin' overnight success took 20 years to develop.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm young, so I can see why people would think that. But what they don't see is how much I work and how much my family helps us, and my wife and even my kids are involved with everything we do. I mean, it's truly a full family function to make this thing grow as it's growing. And honestly, it's only going to get way
Yeah.
bigger. It's in an infant stage, which is crazy to say.
That's that. Oh, you just wait and see.
Yeah.
See what's
So,
next.
yeah, no,
I
I
like
mean, we
that.
got so much going on right now. But so either way, BWC construction, obviously, that's what people know me as of now for the most part. Some people know me as of Brick City Hospitality Group, which is one of those things that came along. BWC construction gets big, we start doing some houses. It multiplies to more houses, to more houses. I own houses, I start renting houses, I I mortgage houses out to people that can't afford or get bank loans. I do that now.
Wow.
Um, it's morphed into.
People don't understand what that takes to accept that level of risk and also to be able to afford in a non-braggadocious way. I don't feel like you're bragging at all. Those are levels that people aspire to get to, and when you can finally mortgage houses for people that cannot afford them otherwise, or cannot they can't go the traditional route, you take the risk. Obviously there's reward,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
being able to financially make that happen for people is actually a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So
No, and I
I
think we're
that's
doing.
awesome.
Yeah, I think we're doing a service, like something that I can honestly step back and help people, and give someone something that they weren't able to get otherwise.
So
So
you went from houses to obviously multiple houses into houses for people.
into
Uh,
multifamily now.
love
Well,
that.
in the meantime, I start building apartments for people. Right? Everyone knows there's apartment complexes popping up everywhere.
Yes.
So I see it. I'm like, well, why am I making everybody else the money? Like I want to make some money,
Yeah. Yeah. I
right?
want to.
Like I mean, don't get me
I
wrong,
want
builders
to make
make
some money.
money, but when we're building it for a developer
Yes.
that's going to make a lot more money, right?
Yes. Yes.
I want to be the developer. My end game was always be the developer. Now, there's good development, there's bad development. Not a, and the developer persona is kind of bad. So I want to clarify: there's good development, there's bad development, um, and in a way, I consider myself a redeveloper.
Okay.
We do build new when it needs to be, but I take a lot of old historic buildings and revitalize them into structures that are able to stand for another 100 years and be repurposed and inhabited and people enjoy.
Now I've seen you do that even in downtown Ocala.
We've done a ton.
And you've had some grand openings recently. What do you have going on outside of Ocala?
A lot.
What
Um,
is your top three things
okay,
that
so
is going on outside of Ocala?
well, here first, I'm gonna start on what we've done in Ocala and how Ocala has changed a little bit over the last several years. Um, so I saw a lot of opportunity in about 2018 in Ocala, 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. Obviously, I don't sleep. We grow fast. Okay, so obviously we were just talking 2015 building a couple houses. By 2018, I'm building commercial, in larger commercial. So uh, I want to open my first bar, nightclub, everything in Ocala. So boom, there we are. 2018, we're doing that here now. The Lodge downtown, loft upstairs, Magnolia Room on the third floor, anti-monopoly speakeasy. Just a good all around entertainment venue for people to come and experience something that they don't ever really have in Ocala. But
Yeah,
this
no.
is me bringing the stuff from what I had in Orlando, what I learned in Orlando, what I was around with some of the big owners and all that kind of stuff that I learned. It's not always about just drinking. You know,
But I think
that's
it's
the surface level that
yeah.
people see,
And
but
I've been to the speakeasy.
it's entertainment.
It is.
It's
It's
an
an
experience.
experience.
It's the experience is number one. Okay.
Yes.
So everything that we've done and I do going forward, it's an experience. And if I can't make that experience, like I'm not going to do it.
That's good.
So no matter what I do now is now the experience. So we start with the lodge. I built Cantina. We had Spacer. We've remodeled more than probably half of downtown.
You still have my office, by the way.
Yes.
I want the balcony. I'm gonna need the balcony one day.
So
Just I'm throwing that out there on camera. I just wanted to know downtown Ocala balcony. Trying to get it.
so you know we've done a ton of stuff downtown, revitalized buildings, rebuilt buildings to look similar to the way they were prior. Um, Houses, you know, my house is 134 years old in downtown. It was on a demo list for 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Completely renovated, brought it back to life, and yeah, I mean, it was, you know,
I love the fact that you're different. Okay, you're not just wanting to mow it all down and put a square structure and call it a day. Like just knowing what you just said about your own personal home means more because if you're willing to renovate, repair, and bring back life to a home that you personally want to live in, it says a lot about what you and how you care about the preservation of of this community.
yes. Well, and to even go into more on that, some of the stuff I'm going to keep going on, it's going to be mind blowing on what we're going to be releasing on a TV show, of all the stuff that we've revitalized, and we're in the process of revitalizing, um, and blocks of buildings and stuff that we own that
I'm so friggin' pumped right now.
no one
I
even
can't wait
listen,
to. Yes.
no one even knows about it. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've bought and we just sit on,
Yeah.
waiting for one to finish so I can move on to the next one. So when I say we have so much planned, we have more planned than I can possibly do in the next 10 years. So
Wow.
going on, you know, Ocala, I saw a massive opportunity. Literally, it's hard for people to imagine back to 2018, but downtown capacity was literally 50, 60%.
Yeah.
Almost everything was empty at the time. I used to be able to pull my truck up and park right in front of the lodge every day when I would go and visit it
Of
to when we
course.
were building it out. So, you know, I saw it when it was an opportunity, and I saw that opportunity slowly going away, uh, partly because of everything we did. To go on to a couple more, Buck Martin with Tipsy Skipper and
Yes.
his pirate bar there. We Mutiny. We built that. We remodeled that. You know, it's all revitalized, remodel. But our success and the success of everybody that, you know, came from us doing all this created a beast in downtown where it's hard to, you know, a lot of the landlords were able to jack rents up and everything else. So it's becoming a place that's not so much affordable or tenant friendly at this point. And I saw that coming years ago. 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, I sold everything in downtown. We sold all of our businesses in downtown, and I went heavy into downtown Leesburg.
Okay.
I saw an opportunity, of a downtown that was in the same boat Ocala was in about 2018. And when I say we went heavy, I bought a whole square block, about 45, 50,000 square feet of space.
Wow.
And we opened up Marmaduke's Lodge, Slice, a pizza restaurant. Um, and another speakeasy and apartment complex above that. That one did great. Went on to the next block or next building over, and we're finishing right now a 25,000 square foot apartment complex with 25 units, a commercial space in it as well. And I just signed a master lease on the whole building to the school in downtown Leesburg, Beacon College. Point is, though, they were at about, I mean, 25, 30% occupancy in downtown when we did this. In 2013, literally people were calling me crazy. Like, you're stupid. What are you doing?
I love when
But
they do that.
I had a
It's my favorite
vision
thing.
of what was coming with the villages moving closer,
Yep.
with everything going on there. I saw a very good old downtown that was left in disarray. I could buy it cheap. I can get a lot of city initiatives and tax incentives to come in and do something that was really needed and obviously make money on our end, but was needed for the community. I get thank yous every day for saving the buildings down there, for revitalizing their downtown.
Yeah.
It's busier than downtown Ocala
It
right now.
already feels better.
It is
Like
better
it
than
feels better. And Leesburg, I've coming from here and traveling through that area, you can feel when it was dying. You could feel that it was just no one went to Leesburg.
no.
You drove through it because you have to. You didn't say, "Hey man, we're going to Leesburg this weekend." And it's like, "Why?" And now there's a lot of why. And then also a lot of why not.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
why not go to Leesburg? There's so much more to do and experience. There's shops and there's just an energy there. There's a revitalization of that entire area. I had no clue that you were a major part of that.
Yeah, so and it's cool because there's other developers that have been sitting on buildings in there for a while. It has got them going. And when I say they've been for a while, I mean, some of these buildings sat empty and vacant for years. They're revitalizing.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
it's like it clicked, and everybody is now jumping on. I don't want to say the bandwagon, but they're jumping on, they're doing it. This place is thriving.
Yeah,
I mean, their lunches are so busy in the town that you can't get seats in some of the restaurants. The dinners are crazy. It's day, night, everything. There's living in downtown. There's the whole nine yards. Going on to the next one. Hey, I'm looking for places like I want to revitalize downtowns. I put this out on Facebook, and I've gotten leads to the point where I'm buying stuff based on people saying, "Please come to our city.
yeah.
Please come to our town. We need you. We need this." And it's mainly historic downtowns.
Yeah.
So brings me to Daytona Beach. I find 2 square blocks available in downtown Daytona Beach. I buy it. We're we're doing the same thing. They're not quite as old, but they're not historic, but they're 60-year-old buildings. So they're pretty old.
They're old enough.
Yeah, and I'd rather buy something at 120 years old than really 60. Um, they kind of started cutting corners there, so you have to take it back further to get really forward again. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we're in Daytona Beach doing the same exact thing right now, multi-purpose, multi-concept places, and then brings me into a project that we've been working on for about 6 or 7 years now in Yankeetown. Now,
I
this
saw
is
some of the grand opening, some of the flyers, and some of the excitement. It finally seems like we're going to get some experiential stuff over there.
Yeah, so this is the Gulf Coast. It's totally different. This is a small community, small town, USA. I mean, this is old. So look, our brand is old Florida. This is old Florida. And I have a duty and a obligation to them, I feel, to keep it old Florida. So we are not developers in that town. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to revitalize old marinas and RV parks over
Yes.
there that have been left. I mean, to be honest, some of it in disarray,
Yeah.
mismanagement, disarray, whatever you want to call it, all of the above.
I think a lot of the
and
people
bring it
that
back.
have had it for so long, they just get complacent with the money, and they're like, well, the money comes and the people come, but I don't really need to fix this or repair that. I mean, I'm a big the bathroom has to be nice. I'm that guy.
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
walk into an old building and then I see the bathroom that just nobody cares about. It tells so much about everything else. Like if you will not take care of people on the most basic side, why would you care about whether they have a great dinner or a great lunch? Like you get off the water, you want to go have some shrimp and some crawfish and whatnot. Like you want to make sure that you're experiencing a neat atmosphere and
Absolutely.
to feel clean.
No, absolutely. And you know, what we've done over there already, and we're still new, this is an ongoing thing, but what we've done over there already, you know, the feedback from the community has been great. You know, at first there's a lot of hesitation. They're like, well, what developer coming in? Like, you know, it's called Old Florida for a reason. We're keeping it Old Florida.
That's good.
Um, we we want to give the community something that they're able to experience over there. We want any outsiders, tourism coming in
Yes,
to know what Old Florida is and was and is still about in certain areas. Not everything is your downtown urban metro, you know,
of course.
Ocalas and Orlando's, Tampa's, whatever you might be in. You know, some of it's still truly Old Florida, and some of it has to be preserved. So like I feel like I have the duty to preserve it, and I think we're doing a good job at that. It's going to be a work in progress to keep making sure we're doing a good job for them. Um, and I think if we do a good job, the reward will come to us.
I absolutely agree. I think that you're all pun intended, but laying a very firm foundation with a quality that is it's excellence or nothing. So
Yep.
I think that when you start like that, you will finish like that, and it's just exciting to see the trajectory, this journey that you've called life, going from I mean, literally Wayne's World. I agree. Not so much of a normal job. When you get paid in paintballs, it's hard to justify that as a job. But it gained a little bit of experience. You learned some teamwork and some camaraderie. We go on to college, and you have this entire plan of what you think you're gonna become and do, and then all of a sudden the party bus idea gets taken off, and each time you've identified the the possibilities in something, chosen to not sit back and let life happen around you, that you are going to take the bull by the horns and just get after it.
Yeah.
And to get to where we're at now, and we're going to have a part two because we have too much more to talk about. But I love the fact that the journey has led you from one level to another level, but especially after getting to talk with you more and meet you as a man, you are still humble.
Yeah.
You
No,
are
I
still
mean it's
humble. That is hard to do. I've talked to a lot of people that all they want to talk about is me, me. You have said we, you have said team, you have said community, you've said every single part that I was hoping to hear in this interview, because your underdog story has so much more than look at me, look what I've done. You've proven to us over and over.
everything we've done is because of community and the team.
Yeah,
People ask, how do you do it all? Because honestly, we might have 20 different companies working at once now.
that's a lot.
Like, I mean, 20 different companies that I own at once. That's a lot of operational stuff. How do you do it all? It's teamwork. You know, teamwork makes the dream work. You know,
Yeah.
whatever you want to be cheesy with it, but that is 100% the truth. Without a big team and without people supporting you and believing in your ideas, you know, you can only go so far. I'm a visionary. It's hard for visionaries to be able to execute. So you have to take a vision, you have to execute on that vision, and you have to make people believe in your vision at the same time. So to make all of that work, it takes a lot of people, a lot of faith, a lot, a lot of belief in you and your ideas and everything else. Um, and at the end of the day, if I'm anything, I'm just a manager of my visions to people now, and they're taking that and expanding on it to another level. Um, I put a lot of responsibility on a lot of people, and we pay them, for that. Um, and I think that's truly what allows us to get to the point where we are. And you know, for me, if I was to say anything and be selfish about what I am, I'm a big thinker. Big thinking, thinking outside the box, thinking of the different things people aren't doing, thinking ahead of time, being proactive rather than reactive. That's what sets us apart. That's what's doing everything.
That's really good. So I like to end every show by asking, is there a quote or a mantra or something that you live by? Is there something that really that quote just either ignites you or just builds that drive inside you?
So there's a couple. Uh, I so believe it or not, well, it should be very believable because my mentor is Grant Cardone, to the point where I go personally, to his events all the time. I'm in mentorship program for more than just business, but we're in a real estate program with him. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. So um, there's unlimited quotes
Of
that
course.
you can come from on his side. Um, and the thinking big thing I just said is obviously something that to this day I work on. Like, how can I think bigger? I'll think of something. I'm like, I got to think bigger than that. So I'm like, right now, I just told you I had 25 apartments, right?
Yes.
My biggest thing I'm upset is I only went with 25. I should have went with 225.
Yeah.
So, no matter where I'm at, I got to think bigger. I got to do bigger. I got to do better. I got to, execution and follow through and whatnot. And this is what I teach to my kids in football as well. Um, and you should see how these kids come. I mean, night and day. Like I'm talking kids that are in the program that I've had parents come to me and say, I don't know what you're doing, but thank you. It's amazing. Um, you're, my kid hasn't had a referral all year.
That's a win.
And this, we're talking kids that had a referral every other week, and they know they're going to be held accountable. Uh, that we step on the field and we have to dominate. We have to do all these things and we have to execute. And it got us to the Super Bowl for the Pee Wees. But I took a team that was all new kids. They don't train year round. They don't do anything, and
Yep.
to get them to buy in and believe, it's the same thing that we do every day in our companies and whatnot. But if I had to say one quote, it's going to be from John Maxwell, and it is, and I'm going to summarize it, but it's from John Maxwell, which we actually had here in Ocala in January, part of a company that I co-own and co-founded with several other partners. The Ocala Leadership Conference. We had John Maxwell, John Gordon, uh, awesome lineup. So we're excited for the future of that company and what we're going to be announcing for the Ocala area as well. Um, but it's fail often, but make sure you're always failing forward. And what that means, because not everyone understands what
Yeah.
like failure. Well, what is failure, right? Listen, if I wasn't failing, I'm not moving forward. I the more I fail, the more I'm learning, the more I'm doing. So everyone sees the successes. People don't see all the failure. Like, I say
Yeah.
all these cool things that we've done and all this stuff we're doing, but in between there's three times the amount of failures.
That's awesome.
So the failures aren't pretty. No one wants to hear that, but guess what? That's what you learn from, and that's how you grow, and that's how you become bigger, better, stronger, smarter, everything else. So it's you got to fail often because if you're not failing, you're not trying enough.
That's so good.
And I mean, it's not a pretty quote.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's the part that people miss is they think that everybody that is successful, they just win all the time. And if they could see your L's more than your W's, they would realize that it took a lot of failing
well,
to
yeah,
get to this
absolutely.
part.
Another, and to go on to that a little bit, Jordan has a famous quote: "Every shot not taken is a miss."
Yes. And then if you look statistically at how many free throws or how many shots that he
Yeah,
missed,
yeah,
we see the highlights and we praise the highlights. I mean, to me, he is my goat. But when it comes to the shots that he missed, that's the hard work. That's the failure that made him fail forward. So
absolutely.
absolutely love that quote. Bryan, thank you again for coming on Underdogs.
Yeah, man, we're happy to be part of it. We want to share the story, and hope we can have a part two and go in a little bit more. I mean, we could probably get a couple parts out of it. So
We're going to have a multiple series coming.